and you can see the back go down. And when you see the back go down, you know that that front is high enough that it'll come off, and then you just pull the plug right back off of the sensor. That is how you pull this off and not take half an hour to do it. Do you have this problem on your Buick Enclave? Engine's cold, just started up, already says engine hot, AC off, and if we look over at our cluster, it shows that it's cold. Well, as you can hear behind me, the cooling fans are on this 2009 Buick Enclave, and the vehicle is sat for hours, stone cold, just started up and moved about 10 feet, and the cooling fans have already kicked on high. It thinks this thing's overheating. You saw that message that, you know, engine hot, AC off. It's a very common problem on these, and we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you what you need to do to correct this issue. Okay, so I let the cooling fans turn off, did a couple other things needed to be done. Now right here, this kind of give you, this is in the center of the front of the engine compartment, just so you kind of see where we're at. Looking straight down from here, I'll show you, is exactly where we're going to be working. If we start right here and we look down, you will see that big padded shielded piece right there. That is around the wire that goes down to the sensor that we're pulling out. This is a common problem on these vehicles. The complaints are exactly the same, and in this video we're just going to walk through how to go ahead and replace this. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to pull that piece back along the wire, then we're going to unplug it, unscrew the sensor, screw the new one in, plug it back in, and push that back down. It sounds a whole lot easier than it actually is. So, in the spirit of trying to make things easy, you want to get stuff out of your way if you can. You're always going, if you're working on cars for a living, you're always going to be kind of trying to balance the scales, judge, is it worth the effort to make things easier, or is it worth saving the time to make it a little bit more of a pain in the butt? But we're going to take the engine cover off, and as you saw, I just took the oil cover off, and then the engine cover pops right up and off, sits down on these tabs like that. I'm going to get you a better look, but I'm going to walk you through what we're going to be doing to try to gain ourselves a little bit of room. So, just if you look at something and you see, hey, it's a pain to move, you're going to question, but like this right here, because we're going to be putting our hands right down here, and this is sitting right in the way, and it's 2 bolts right here. We're going to pull these 2 bolts off, and we're going to take this and we're going to just set it off out of the way. It's going to give us room. That, I mean, that right there, for the time investment, it's well worth it. Just because it's going to be one more thing that's in the way, take the dipstick, pull it out, set it out of the way. Okay, so this is the piece, and you're just looking straight down. We're going to try to grab and slide back on the wiring harness. And I'm going to switch hands. Okay, so this piece, if you look, as it comes up, it's going to want to crush against this stuff, and this wire is in your way, so we're just going to push it out of the way. Okay, you guys are in a bit of a precarious position, but this wire that comes here from the fuse box down around, oh look, it's already, looks like it's supposed to clip in up here. It looks like it's already been, that's already been pulled off. So just pull it up over to the other side of the power steering, and then this wire right here, which goes to, now it's not going to come up, or it's not going to move very far, it goes to the alternator. It's kind of half in the way, it's not horrible, but you've got a little plastic piece that sits on top of studs right on the front here of the valve cover, and what you're going to do is kind of pop the top of that up and then push it down, I'm trying to see if I can show you, but it's going to give you a little bit of play. So what I'm talking about here is this right here. It sits on the front of the valve cover. You just kind of pull up and you reach down on the bottom, and there's a little tab, and you pull it loose, and then you come over here to the other side, and you can take a little screwdriver, but just be careful. It is plastic. We want to get the job done, but we don't want to go messing up stuff when we're doing it. So, oh, I bumped you. But on the other side, it is essentially, it's exactly the same thing. It's a little tab that comes down, and you get your fingers on it. And after I get it off, I'm going to have to go back and show you guys a better view of it, so you'll understand what I'm trying to do. What that's going to do is that is going to let you take this harness, and it's not a ton of play, but it's going to let you get a little bit more play and work with this around a little bit when you pull this protective cover back. Now, I'm going to try to zoom in as close as I can. I'm going to try to get the best shot I can. But the simple fact is, in the vehicle, I will almost guaranteed not be able to show you what I'm doing to get the clip off. But when I get it off, I will show you how I disconnected it. Alright, here we go. Alright, so I got that unplugged. Now, I'm going to walk you through how I got it unplugged. I really hate doing that the way that I had to, where I couldn't at all show you what it is that I was looking at, and what I was doing. But I want you guys to be able to do this. So when you get this, when you get down to that point, you're going to see the back side of this. And all you're going to see is these wires, and see that, and you're supposed to push down on that, because when you push down on that, it picks up the front, and that's what locks onto the tab on the sensor. But what I did a long time ago, I figured this out. I think someone may have told me, I forget now. But I came up from the back side of the sensor plug-in where where you can see it, and I can see that this gets past that guard, and when I put it down, I pull back until it's up against that guard, and then I rotate it, and when I rotate it, it picks up the front of that, and you can see the back go down. And when you see the back go down, you know that that front is high enough that it'll come off, and then you just pull the plug right back off of the sensor. That is how you pull this off and not take half an hour to do it. Okay, so now what we got to do is go down in that same hole with a 19 millimeter and pull that sensor off. But I have some bad news for you. You guys see this? Can you see down inside there? You see that cool little ridge? When you're putting nuts on and stuff, that ridge helps hold the nuts or fasteners on, and it keeps them from dropping all the way down. You can have good control, and that's one of the things I like about these snap-on sockets. But for those of you that never kept your old beginner set of sockets around, you're gonna hate it, because a lot of those snap-on sockets won't work for this. Got my old 3/4 inch 19 millimeter would work as well, but this is what I could find. My old beginner set, Craftsman. And the thing is that this is the new sensor. You see those little tabs ride right in those edges, and this will go down in there. And a 19, which should do the same thing, it will not on the snap-ons. I love snap-on. It's just one of the limits. You just can't really use them on these. So this, you get yourself an old Craftsman socket and put it on your snap-on ratchet. Craftsman socket, Craftsman extension, snap-on ratchet. And you'll slide it all the way down until you hear it click onto the base, and then we're just going to loosen it up. And we will take it out, and if you'll notice, that replacement sensor that I just showed you has a crush washer on it. And so very quickly, we're going to take this one, we're going to pull this off, and we're going to stick it down in that same hole. And we're going to actually drop our ratchet. In this case, I just started it by hand, because what's going to happen when you do this is you will start to leak coolant. And you can run this down just lightly by hand, just enough so that you keep the coolant from flowing out. Then jump back, get your socket and your ratchet, and let's put it on. And when you put these down, kind of like with some of the drain plugs, oil drain plugs that are the same, you'll feel it crush. And that's what you want. You want to feel that washer crush down, and it'll get nice and snug. And that's plenty tight enough. Now, this piece that you kind of pulled off of these tabs and the little hooks down below, you want to put them back on. You can put it on the hook and then swing it up to the tab. That's fine. Clips right back on. You'll take this, and you want, when you look down at that socket, you'll see it's got like a, or not the socket, sorry, the sensor. You can see this tab. Let me get it here where you guys can actually see it. You'll see this tab, and that is the side opposite of the clip. You see the little ramped tab? That's the tab that the clip hooks onto. So that's how you know which way to plug this in. And it is, I will tell you this, it is easier to plug in than it is to unplug. And once you get it lined up, you can use the back of one of your picks or a screwdriver, just something to push on it. Hear it click. And it's important that you put this protective sleeve back down over it, because it sits right above the exhaust and it needs that heat protection. So we've got that harness back in. We've got the plug, it's clipped back on, it's plugged back in. We'll take this, run it back to where it sat at before. Then the engine cover, you'll line up. This is kind of in the way. We'll set it up here because that's where it's going to go. The engine cover, you'll line up the oil fill, hold it straight, and then you'll kind of feel it. There it is. There. And it'll click down into place. Put that oil fill back in place. These two bolts back on here. the dipstick back in place. You guys thought I was gonna forget, didn't you? Nope. Oh, don't leave that there. Don't leave your phone under the hood. That's an expensive mistake. So now that we got this tied up and wrapped up underneath here, we're gonna do a quick double check. We're just gonna go sit in the vehicle. We're gonna start it up, and we're gonna see if we still have that warning message. I bet you we don't. All right, we're gonna start the engine up. Now, our temperature is still going to say cold because the engine's cold, but we do not have our warning. Now, we don't have a check engine light, and I know there was before. One of the repairs that we did while we were doing these videos is it involved disconnecting the battery. But I already knew what codes were in it, and we're addressing all those codes today. So this is a fix. No more issue, no more complaint, no more engine hot. And that is exactly what he was worried about, is just, you know, the fact that it would say engine hot, and sometimes it would, you know, give him, I think he said it'd give him reduced engine power. I know he had a throttle body put on at one point. Someone put that on there. But this is a very common problem on these vehicles, the Enclaves, the GMC Acadias, and the Chevy Traverse with this engine. It happens. It's just one of those things. You get common problems on vehicles. So when you run into these complaints, it's pretty much always going to be this. Now, I did look at it before, and I just checked the wiring to make sure there were no wiring issues. But this is what is almost always going to fix your problem if you have this complaint. So I hope, if you were having this problem, I hope that you were able to fix it. I hope the video helped you. Thank you for taking the time to watch it, and I will see you guys in the next video.